Good evening. This is an appeal to the people of Scotland by HPANWO TV. In just 1 week from now, on Thursday, September the 18th, you, the people of Scotland, will have the chance to vote on whether you want to become an independent country. Please, 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 would you please vote no? I mean yes. I really mean yes. Vote yes. Vote yes.
Hospital porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV. And now I'm going to show you some articles I've been writing over the last, couple of years actually, on the HPANWO Voice blog. One of the many blogs I have. Now, have you ever heard the phrase, conspiracy theorists never change their minds? Have you ever heard that? Yeah, it's quite a common one, isn't it? Well, as a matter of fact, conspiracy theorists do change their minds. I have changed my mind over a very, very important subject. Now, this is the first article I wrote on the subject of Scottish independence, and it's called Scottish Independence. And it says here, the people of Scotland are going to have a referendum on the biggest single issue in that country's political history, devolution, becoming an independent nation. For over 300 years, Scotland has been part of a union with England to form the modern United Kingdom. This in practice means that Scotland is ruled by England. And I go on to explain about how I used to be a Welsh nationalist and how I would never, I couldn't believe I was advising the Scots not to cast off the yoke of the Anglo-Norman conqueror. And then I go on to explain that there's a big difference between independence and false independence. Many nations that have supposedly become independent are colonial powers, etc. And I go on to describe how breaking up the Union of Great Britain could be a scam by the EU agenda. Once the UK is reduced to its constituent parts, those parts could be more easily absorbed into the European Union, like one would break a lump of potato so that it washes down the plug hole more easily. So I urge caution. What could look like a victory for national liberation and self-determination might be the exact opposite. I wrote that article on Monday, the 9th of January 2012. I then went on to write several other articles. This one's on Wednesday, 27th of November 2013, about the Scottish Independence White Paper. You can go to the, if you got the description box, as always, I'll put links to these articles so you can follow this little journey I've been on myself. Again, I'm talking about how I'm concerned about how I'm advising the people of Scotland to vote no. I mentioned Braveheart and things like that, but basically, it's basically carrying on with this same idea that I don't think Scots should vote no because it's a trick to get them into the EU and then the rest of the country into the EU as well. So that's still my line then. This here is the Scottish Independent Scotland, a battle of numbers, where I go through some of the various rhetoric that the sides are using to say who would be better off and who wouldn't be better off, and the economy and the national debt, etc., etc. And you may say, well, how do I know I'm not Scottish? What right do I have to speak? Well, I'm not, but I'm Welsh. I'm Welsh. And in fact, I'll show you my article on, here we go, Plaid Cymru in the EU. Now this is a party that I used to support. Plaid Genedlaethol Cymru was formed in 1925, the Nationalist Party of Wales, and I used to be a very, very big supporter of this organisation. And this is a federalist, it's a European federalist party as well as a nationalist party, which is actually something of a contradiction in terms, but the Plaid Cymru supporters don't really realise that. And we have here, where is it? Jill Evans MEP, who is MEP for Plaid Cymru, has actually said, I want to see Wales become an independent member of the European Union with an equal normal status. Being part of the UK member state is holding us back from achieving our true potential on the European platform. It's exactly what they want to hear. And there's a member of my family, actually, so my uncle, who is very much a Welsh nationalist, and he's like this. He's a European federalist as well, and he's a Plaid Cymru member. So again, I disagree with him on that quite considerably. Then the Scottish independence debate came along. This was on the 6th of August this year. Alex Salmond and Alistair Darling went head-to-head. Alex Salmond, of course, is First Minister of Scotland, leader of the Scottish National Party. Alistair Darling is one of Tony's cronies. Yes, he was Tony Blair's Chancellor of the Exchequer. And I analysed this debate there. And in the first debate, I thought that Alistair Darling had come out on top. But then in the second debate, Salmond had him for breakfast. It was really, really unbelievable how he took him. He made it very, very clear, you know, that Darling kept going on and on about how he was opposed to Salmond's fiscal policy, about the finance, about the currency. And Salmond said, well, basically, let us deal with it. We can use the pound if we want. And Darling was forced to admit you can use the pound if you want. So that sort of got me thinking. It got me thinking an awful lot. And so I started to reconsider what I'd thought before. And one of the reasons I started to reconsider was that I read this article about freedom. I wrote this article, Freedom for Venice. Freedom for Venice is about the Venetian nationalist organisations. Venice, of course, Italy. Italy, as we know it today, is, believe it or not, is actually quite a new country. It sort of slowly coalesced during the 19th century to become Italy. But Italy didn't exist before then as a single nation, and it was a series of independent... The land which is now Italy was a series of independent states, and one of those was Venice, which was actually an independent state right through from... It's one of the oldest republics in the world, right through from the early Middle Ages to the 19th century when it was incorporated into modern Italy. And what I was impressed with by the Venetian nationalists is they're quite hard-headed for one thing. They tried to build... The police raided their house and found some explosives and some weapons and a tank-like armoured vehicle which had been adapted from a bulldozer or a tractor or something. It was very funny. I wouldn't advocate that sort of thing because the state is so much better at using violence than we are. We can't beat them on their terms. But it started getting me thinking. It really did. Here's another article I wrote talking about how Billy Connolly is going to abstain. He's not going to vote either way. People in Scotland have various ideas towards this. At the moment, the yes vote is ahead with just 1 week to go. I don't want to blame Billy Connolly. I mean, the man's just getting over cancer. There's some people like Annie Lennox, who's the singer, of course, and Elaine C. Smith, the actress, a comedian. Sean Connery, another actor. He's very pro-yes, but there's others like Charlene Spiteri, the rock star. Andy Murray, who's a tennis player, and Sir Alex Ferguson, football coach. They're Scots who are very much against independence. So I don't really want to condemn those people or think any. I don't really think anything of them, really. And that was the point where I started reconsidering the whole issue.
That's right. I am a conspiracy theorist who's changed my mind. Yeah, Charlie Veitch is not the only one. Yeah, I know. I've changed my mind in a different sense. You know, I'm not kind of like... That's right, 9/11 was not an inside job. I've been on the BBC and now I think very differently to how I thought before. No, nothing like that. Okay, I just had one of my Boudica moments, and if you're a regular viewer, you'll know exactly what I mean by a Boudica moment. I think the Venice thing got me thinking very hard, because I had this idea in my head that all current European nationalist movements would be used by the European Union as a way of getting those countries out of their current nation states and into the European Union. I think the Venice situation made me realise that is not the case, and I've come to see that perhaps my fears over Scotland being absorbed into the EU once it was independent were exaggerated. I had this idea that basically Scotland was jumping straight out of the UK frying pan into the EU fire. The moment it was independent, that was it. It was going to be chewed up, swallowed and digested by the EU. End of Scotland. Just like it has so many other nations. But I've had, there's actually good reason to think that won't happen, at least not immediately, and that Scotland actually stands a good chance of actually being free of the EU altogether, as well as the United Kingdom. One of these things is that Scotland's membership of the EU is going to be, Spain, I know, is going to veto Scotland's membership. It's actually quite, it looks quite difficult to see, it's a bit difficult to see exactly how Scotland could just be smoothly absorbed into the European Union. I know the same may go for Wales, which will disappoint my uncle very much indeed. And another thing that got me thinking was I met a guy, well, I spoke to a man called Stuart Hill, and I've actually there's an interview with Stuart Hill on HPANWO Radio. I got him on my show, I did an interview with him. He lives on Shetland, which is a series of islands to the north of Great Britain, which is nominally part of Scotland, but he says that it's not, it's actually independent. And he's proved that Shetland is actually not a part of Scotland or the UK. This guy has been in jail for his beliefs. All right, he's a very, very brave man, a very dedicated man. And I do urge you to go to listen to that interview on HPANWO Show on Critical Mass Radio, where I talked to Stuart for almost an hour about what he does. And I suppose my heart started to rule my head. This is what I mean by a Boudica moment. You know, and you've seen my films where I talk about the Boudica uprising against the Roman Empire and things like that, about how it ties in with the Illuminati and the New World Order. And I suddenly realised a few other things, like the issue of Trident. The Trident nuclear missile system is Britain's independent nuclear deterrent, even though it's an American missile they use. It's launched from British submarines. Now Trident is based in Scotland, always has been, and someone, I think it was Alex Salmond himself, actually said that the people of Scotland are being used as a human shield for these nuclear weapons. That's very true. Now, if the Scots become independent, that nuclear deterrent will have to move. It will have to come to England or Northern Ireland or Wales. And so where's it going to go? In your backyard? That got me thinking as well, because, I mean, I've always thought that was a bad idea. It was basically the Cold War. I mean, I always believed that when the Cold War was over, we're told during the Cold War, people were told that nuclear weapons wouldn't be needed after the Cold War. The Cold War ended, we still got them. We're looking at a Trident replacement now, a new generation of nuclear weapons. They're extremely dangerous. I don't think they protect us from anything. The only the biggest threat to our safety comes from government false flag operations. The same government which actually possesses these Trident missiles. So how can the Trident missiles protect us from any enemy? The enemy are the people with the missiles. You see what I mean? So that got me thinking as well. And then I suddenly realised just that actually, if the Scots vote yes next week, it could launch something enormously progressive. That could take off. In a sense, the Scottish people are being given the chance not just to vote for leaving the United Kingdom, and as Alex Salmond said, what has Scotland got out of the United Kingdom? The poll tax, the bedroom tax, things like that, Trident. Not just leaving that behind, but they're going to get the chance to vote out the Westminster government in a way that no one else could yet. And it could be that if they do vote yes, it's essentially a vote of no confidence in the Westminster government, which may basically kick the rest of us up our arses and get us out of our armchairs. Because if Scotland can vote out the Westminster government, why couldn't England? Why couldn't Wales? Why couldn't Northern Ireland? And that could spread even further. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I may be wrong. But I've changed my mind. I think the Scots should vote yes. I really do. I think they should vote, and I urge you, as a Welshman talking here, I'm a Welsh boy, and I think you Scottish people, my fellow Celtic brothers and sisters, should vote yes to kick out the Anglo-Norman oppressor. So, I mean, I've never been a flag-waving British Unionist, even when I was urging the Scots to vote no. So now, I'm saying vote yes. And hopefully we'll see an independent Scotland, which could, I think it could lead to so much. It could lead, who knows where it might lead, is the thing. The results on the rest of the world could be very unpredictable if Scotland votes yes and leaves the UK, but it might not necessarily be bad. And quite frankly, I think we've reached a point now where I think we should be willing to take risks. It's really, I mean, and also I suppose there's the novelty factor too. I mean, a lot of what politicians do and say seems to be geared towards maintaining the status quo, that is, maintaining normality. Maybe that is why so much of politics is so boring, because it's so relentlessly conservative with a small c as well as a big. It's all about maintaining a stable situation and not letting anything rock the boat. So an independence vote in Scotland would rock that boat well and truly. And now it could rock their way, or it could rock ours. But personally, I think we should roll the dice and go for it. I don't think we've got anything to lose. So, I'm just curious to see what will happen, I suppose, if they vote yes. So, I must be honest, there is an element of that in me, which is, I suppose, is a selfish motive in a way. But it's still real, it's still there, and I still think I feel like I should express it. So we'll see what happens next week, but just to reiterate, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I changed my mind. I said vote no, Scots. Now I'm saying vote yes. All right. And what's more, there's going to, if you listen to HPANWO Radio, all right, the same station where I interviewed Stuart Hill, link in the description box. Next week I'm doing a special programme on Scottish independence. It's going to be 8 PM next Tuesday on Critical Mass Radio. All you have to do is go to www.criticalmassradio.co.uk or go to the HPANWO Radio blog, and all the details will be there. Okay, I'll edit this. I'll actually, when I put the notice up, I'll edit this. I'll edit this film's description box to put in a show note, the notice for this particular programme. So if you're watching this on, say, Sunday or Monday before the referendum, then if you go to the description box, the show notice will be in there. The notice for the show will be in there as a link. Okay, so there's a guy I hope to get on actually as a guest. He's an interesting chap. He's a Scotsman into paranormal research, but he's also very pro-yes, and I want to get him on as an interviewee, because I think it'll be interesting listening to what he has to say. So let's see what happens. So remember, next week, Thursday the 18th, in the independence referendum. Should Scotland be an independent country? Is the question. Your answer should be yes. Thank you for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Quarters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.